Merry Christmas, everyone. Hope you're all having a good Christmas Eve. I thought I would deliver a Christmas Eve treat for all of you. And boy, does it feel good to be delivering this Christmas Eve treat. What you see in front of you, if you have not been following me, myself and Bernie on social media, is XRP and approximately 450,927 XRP, which we bought yesterday at around 23 cents, just slightly above 23 cents. Now, this video is a continuation from a video that we made on November the 22nd called $100,000 XRP trade, what would you do? So if you haven't already seen this video and part 2 to this video, I highly recommend you do so, because this is now essentially part 3 of the video where I extracted $100,000 out of the market from XRP at around 44 cents up to around 62 cents, which we'll be covering very shortly in a second. If you've been following me, and if you recall from the video, we took this profit out of the market, and I took this profit out of the market in anticipation of a correction down to 25 cents and below, where I was looking to buy back in again. November the 22nd this was, and just over 1 month later, we now sit here with a buy at 0.23160, where, as you can see, if I go to sell 100%, and if you go to here, a buy yesterday, December the 23rd at 10:30 p.m, 450,927 XRP. You can see my original buys here from 15 and 16 cents for $26,000 roughly, and around $8,000 I believe it was. Let's just go to the 4 hour. Not sure why this isn't loading, but okay, doesn't matter, not loading for some reason. But as you know, if I zoom in around here, it was 26,000 and there was 8,700 USD. So approximately 30k or so was invested in March of this year at around 16 cents and 15.18. As you would have seen, and if you've been following me, we took profit from 43, 46, 49, almost 50. We took some out at 53 and we took some out at 62 cents in anticipation of this exact move coming through. Now, if I go to the 15-minute chart, we can see if this does all work out as anticipated, we have potentially bought in again at one of the main lows. We tapped 20 cents, the order did not trigger. Yesterday was a very intense evening for myself. I was on the Zoom with Bernie whilst this was happening live. We almost bought back in at 27 cents, but we just waited a bit longer. The 20 cents order didn't fill for whatever reason, so we entered manually at 23 cents, purchasing 450,000 plus XRP. Now, this video, we're going to be going over why I've done this, why I originally anticipated this. We're going to go over all kinds of topics, maybe like the SEC article. Allegedly, many people are trying to discredit what I predicted a month ago by blaming this on the SEC, which had a little bit of impact, but quite frankly, doesn't justify it to me. So we're going to be going over this, where I think XRP will be going next, and what I may be potentially doing with this particular investment should all go smoothly. Now, yesterday, let's see what we are looking at right now. So we can currently sell these holdings already for 123,837. Now, if I quickly just check on my Blockfolio how much this actually cost in total, the average cost was around $104,000. So we are up almost $20,000 on this investment since yesterday evening. So in less than 24 hours, this investment is now at $20,000. Not to mention how much money we've saved by actually taking profit out of the market. So this video is essentially a lesson, a humble reminder in why we do what we do at Innovation Markets, and why when we say these things are going to potentially happen, it's not FUD, it's not to get attention, it's not to get likes or retweets, it's to help you guys save money and, more importantly, make money. So we'll be going over that now. Now with BTC, The market overall, I still believe, if you recall the remainder of my projections, I still believe BTC is going to drop to 10 to 8k. I believe it will push up first. That will correlate, hopefully, with XRP pushing higher first, and we'll get to all of this in a second. Ether, another push higher potentially, but bang, I still believe the downside targets are coming through. I've covered this in another video as well. LTC is the same. You would have recalled, I said Link would go to $9 and potentially even $5 and below at this price point here of around $20. I told everyone the exact same as XRP. Do not buy Link at $20. I don't care how many people say it's going to $100 next. Do not buy at highs. And I said the same for XRP. Lord and behold, Link has striked the $9 price point today as well. We have hit that target as well, and now it's rejecting upwards, which shows there could be another push. But all in all, I'm still keeping my targets fixated on $5 and below. Now with XRP, we have many confluences now to aid why this is all happening. So the first thing we need to discuss is the SEC news. The SEC news, again, it's not a guaranteed it's going to really be happening, and even if it does commence the whole way, how bad can it be? We have seen this many times over. You've seen a few exchanges delist XRP. This has happened many times before, and it's happened from all other assets as well. Like BTC, how many times has BTC been banned in China? Everyone that says, you know, you got lucky, the SEC news aided you in this. Well, no, because this only came out within around 3 days ago, this news. And from around 80 cents, it went down to 40 cents anyway. So from this price point, it had already lost 50% of its value. So when you understand markets, especially cryptocurrency, and you understand manipulation, you understand levels that have been projected in advance. How would I have known it would have gone to this region from 25 down to even potentially 16, which we'll get to soon? How did I project this level a month in advance before the news articles? Price always tells you what the news will do anyway, because by the time the news comes out to the public, it's too late. Price has already factored that in. If we go to the monthly time frame, that is one of the most horrific candles I've ever seen in my life. If we drag this trend line lower, there is still room potentially for this to come much lower, but in the meantime we may see another move higher first, and we'll get to that shortly. But the most important thing I think to kickstart this lesson with is, we'll go to the SEC article soon as well. This trend line is what I have marked out. You can draw this however you wish. There's several ways to draw it. You can draw it from there, you can draw it from there. It is currently holding that trend line. You've got the trend line down here as well. Plus we have the Fibonacci, which I marked out in many videos for you as well, and the Innovation Markets members within the app will recall this many times. I've gone into intense depth on these videos. We have now striked a long-term 78.6 fib. So for all we know, this may just go back to $1 now, and the rest of the market continues going higher. There's nothing to say that it will drop lower now. There's also nothing to say that the market will pull back now, because in simple terms, and this is my very simple logic behind why I bought now instead of just being patient or being impatient and being greedy. I bought now because why wouldn't I? I bought here, I sold on the way up here, it dropped down. I have now more than doubled my holdings from the initial 216 or 219,000 XRP I purchased at this price point here. Now throughout this process, and as you guys would have seen, how many people said ridiculous, crazy, FUD, this will never happen, we will never see those prices again. We're going to $1 next, we're going to $2 next, we're going to $10 next. People always tell you what they want to happen, not what they are believing will happen, or not what they actually look at on the charts. A lot of the people that counteract, or a lot of people that say with certainty this will not happen or it will never happen, those people are clueless, because in cryptocurrency you should never say never, and we spotted this a mile off. The reason being is these people do not look at the charts, they do not understand anything, they just buy, and they're emotionally invested in their investments. We have no financial gain from saying the market will drop. As you all know, this was just a side investment. This was just a secondary investment that isn't even involved in our main investment portfolio. We will potentially add this to our main investment holdings now and our main portfolio, but this was just a final buy-in as we dollar cost averaged on the way down. So it's not in our best interest technically for price to drop. The higher this market goes, the more money we make. We do not gain from that aspect. However, when you understand that these incidents and these scenarios can easily unfold in cryptocurrency, we haven't seen a bearish candle like this in a very, very long time. So arguably the wick can come back down to get filled depending on how it closes, but we have hit a major level now on the 78.6. We've retested the trend line, we've retested this trend line. Whether we draw it a little bit lower to correlate here, whether we draw it from there, the trend line has been retested. Whether you draw it a little lower to tap this level, we've still retested. There's a lot of confluences added in this scenario, and that's why we said, you know what, let's just buy now. And that's exactly what we did. As we can see here, if we go to maybe even the 5-minute time frame, we can see this a bit clearer and see how that buy actually looked. So yeah, we just missed that 22 cents region there. Very big shame it didn't get triggered, but bang, 23 cents. More than happy with that, because when we go to the weekly time frame, we can see the buy, we can see the sells. We have now more than doubled our holdings by simply being patient and understanding where this market can go next. We told many people, we warned many people, and the purpose of these videos that we make was to warn you guys that you should not be listening to the majority of people who were saying buy and sell now. Many would argue that I could have sold a bit higher, and absolutely. But in full honesty and full transparency, I had no clue it was going to push up towards 80 cents. Otherwise, I would have obviously sold at 80 cents. My belief was pushing up to maybe 60 cents, I will sell and that's it. That's fine. It pushed up, but on the weekly, as you can see, it was temporary. So we missed out on around $50,000 profit from this particular level here. But by getting out of the market, we sat back, we waited, and we actually believed this would have come through in maybe February, March, April, May, but it came through a month later. So we may have lost out on that potential 50,000 on the buy up here, but on the way down, by simply buying here, as you can see right now, $124,000 at the current time of speaking. So we've made $20,000. So we've almost got half of that loss back already, and it's not even a loss because we've made profit on the way up, and now we're looking to make profit on the next potential move upwards. And I'm in two minds right now on this particular scenario, because I believe, funnily enough, this is just so typical of what would happen to me. When I finally go long, the market continues lower. So we took 1% loss on a swing trade set up yesterday. I believe it was around 0.3315, was looking to go long up to 60 cents, but we ended up seeing the full long-term target come down. So instead of crying about a 1% loss, I waited, price spiked lower, we bought in, and now I believe the same target will come through. And if you're an Innovation Markets member and you're in the app, you would have known on this particular level, this zone that's highlighted here, I gave this zone as XRP's reversal zone. I said as long as we maintain this area, this is a good short zone to see a move down towards around 34 cents. And boy, did we blast through 34 cents. So looking at this now on the daily as well, you can see how the trend line's holding, the 78.6 fib. Even though we went from 26 down to 20, we spiked up another 6 cents and closed exactly at the 78.6 fib. So in the next sequence of this movement, and if I do get rid of these trend lines and I do get rid of these longer term fibs, let's now have a look at what could potentially be happening. Ideally, in this scenario, because we've fulfilled the longer term Fibonacci, we go to $1 now, and I believe we're going 60 cents next. And from there, if it breaks through to $1, then you can bet it will retest and absolutely boom to the moon. And then we're going to see things get very, very crazy, because we've now broken the high. We've broken the trend. We have broken out. And this is what I said. We have actually technically broken out. But we need to retest broken ground first. And everyone wants to argue. Everyone wants to throw in their 2 cents. But there's a certain element of risk in doing this as well, because it could have just blown to the moon. So we had to put our balls on the line for this. And a little bit of testicular fortitude was required to execute this movement. However, it's now paid off flawlessly. And a lot of people, I would say hundreds to thousands of people, on the low did actually listen to us, and they didn't listen to the majority who were saying keep buying at the highs. The reason we said do not buy at the highs is because prices just pumped, and I tweeted this yesterday as well, and I said it doesn't matter how much price is pumping. If you are buying during a pump, it doesn't matter how much higher it goes, because inevitably there's going to be a pullback at some point and you're going to get annihilated. And going on Twitter yesterday, a lot of people have been tweeting regarding suicide. A lot of people have been tweeting regarding getting destroyed, losing mortgages, all of that stuff, because they get enticed into the social media marketing. If we wanted followers, I could just tweet all day long, XRP to the moon, loads of rocket emojis, and just entice loads of gullible people to join the markets or join innovation markets. That's not how we operate. We always need clarity, we always need patience, and we need to have emotional stability. Because the people that are screaming moon, 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 they are not doing things in your best interest. They're just trying to gain a following. And this is what we're saying. We do not care for that. We are here to educate, and we are here to do what we do best. So if we go back now, dropped a little bit more, numbers fly like crazy, and it's good that you guys can see this in real time, because we're losing and gaining thousands every second. But by doubling our holdings, we don't even need to really sell anymore. We can just add this to a long-term portfolio. And just as an example, obviously if it goes to $1, that's now almost $500,000 there from an initial $30,000 investment. Because if it went to $1 before, we would have made 200,000. But now we can make almost $500,000. So if we were to go to sell, limit 100% of the XRP at $2, that's almost $1 million. That's $900,000. You go to 3, that's 1.3 million. You go to 5, that's 2.2. And obviously, the higher you go, the higher it goes. It's very standard stuff. Now, I'm not going to say, everyone will say, what's your price prediction for this, that? I believe, and always have believed, XRP will absolutely thrive. And I've been a big believer in this project for a very long time. If we go to the weekly here before, you can see, very small, 256, what was this? That was 16,000. Interesting. I don't even remember doing that. But yeah, we sold some profits on this. There was a buy. Let's have a look at that. I believe I was probably sending that somewhere. So we bought 50. Oh, sorry. Wait, how much was it? 60 XRP. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong numbers there. And I sold 20,000 XRP at 83 cents before it dumped. So I bought 60, probably to send that somewhere. But yeah, 60, almost 17,000 USD. That was in April. What year is that? So 2018. Okay. And then up there, 1,100 XRP. I didn't even know these were tracked. That's interesting. So yeah, it looks like I caught one of the last highs there as well in April 2018. Nice. Completely forgot about that. So from that point in time, obviously I have a lot more XRP on other accounts. On this account, that's still pretty decent, to be fair. I'm happy with that. I completely forgot about that. So going back over here and going to XRP right now, we can see it's a nice rejection. We've spiked in, we've wiped out the lows over here, which potentially could have been long positions. Stop losses hunted. I believe this was all a trick before the real move higher continues. And if we go to the daily time frame, there's two ways to look at this. We've now got a new Fibonacci sequence, which funnily enough correlates with the last short zone I gave to the Innovation Markets members at these exact levels. We spiked higher. And if you look at this, the Fibonacci's do not lie. The Fibonacci's never lie. We broke through, we tapped the 61.8, but we maintained candle body closures at our level. So it was almost inevitable, whilst people were looking at the intraday time frames, we were looking at the bigger time frames and understood the lower highs were being formed. So inevitably, when rejected, the Fibonacci sequence comes through. We hit 34 cents, then we hit the second Fibonacci extension. So now, when we do the inverse, we can see a perfect alignment with my first innovation level, the second innovation level up there, 78.6% retracement. So we can very easily see this pullback come through now in anticipation of a potential move higher on BTC, which I do believe will potentially push into that 24 up to the... So originally I was looking at this region here, but the longer these movements take to come through, the higher price can go. So if we do see BTC push higher, this was a nice short zone I had anticipated, but I didn't pull the trigger because it came through late at night and I thought price would push up a bit more first, but it was a good short. So looking at this now, BTC could easily just push into that 24.5 to 25k territory, and that could aid this move going higher, because now XRP is at the lows once again. And in theory, if I just go to the monthly or the weekly and zoom out, can you see in comparison to where price once was, in comparison to where I once bought for some reason 256, I sold there, sorry. As you can see the lows, you see this line that I've marked out, first buy was in the lows, second buy was in the lows. So even if it goes down from here, I do not care, because we've doubled our holdings, and even if it goes into drawdown, I've got some capital on the side ready to drop in if need be. Maybe we'll put another 10,000 in. It doesn't need to be strong. If it drops down to like 15 cents or so, which is still very possible, by the way, then maybe I'll buy more. But the main scenario in my head right now is this. We've got both levels there. Perfect. We've got two situations. Now, for some reason, the second Fibonacci extension is not showing up. Let's try and fix that. Why that would not be showing, I do not know. Interesting. But yeah, the minus 61.8% retracement aligns around, I believe it's here. I believe it's around 14 to 15 cents. So with this current Fibonacci sequence, if we put that in perspective, that's where the last real reversal swing was, which is where we bought from. So there is still a very strong possibility. And again, hopefully now you guys know, when we say these things, we're not doing it as a joke. We're not trolling. We're telling you in very legitimate terms, these things can happen. So there is a potential scenario here where XRP can go back up to this level. And if it goes up to this level of, let's just say, around 60 cents, what we are considering to potentially do, if it does go up first, obviously I do believe we may come back in to fish this area here. I could easily just re-enter again, but there's no point. I'm not going to be, it's just stupid to toy around these levels. But let's just say in the instance we go to 0.60, we will be able to sell around $270,000 worth of XRP. Now what that means is, if that then comes through, and then we see a pullback to the 15 cents region or 16 cents region, we can look at, we'll copy this number, we will look at limit buying at 0.16, we'll get rid of the quantity, we'll add the USD amount, we can then look at getting 1.6 million or 1.7 million almost. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So almost 1.7 million XRP if it does drop back down to that level after going up. So there is that potential scenario of buying almost 2 million XRP as well. And it's something I will definitely consider. And it is something that's on my mind. I am potentially considering doing this. But we'll take it as it comes. Because with the main... let's get the weekly up again. With all of these confluences to the downside, any short-term spikes, for me personally, doesn't really matter anymore. I really don't care, because if it goes up, it will go up and there'll be a lot of money to be made. So if we look at it from this instance, even from the first Fibonacci target of 96 cents at present, let's go to limit sell 0.96. That would be $432,000. So almost, or just under $1 million. So it's pretty good. Everything aligns perfectly. We're well positioned, and there's not too much negativity that can come from this. We obviously have the SEC stuff, which we're going to get to in a second as well. Or we've got $1.2, which is the next target. So 1.2, we'll be looking at $540,000. It's a win-win situation. But if we go over to this SEC article, what the SEC charging Ripple means for cryptocurrencies. The SEC has filed an action against Ripple Labs, the company behind the digital token XRP, with raising $1.3 billion in what it calls unregistered digital asset securities. While there was important short-term price movement across the board in terms of Bitcoin, Ethereum and XRP prices, the more important implications may play out long-term. It's worth examining what this means for cryptocurrencies across the board and how theoretical and practical debates about decentralization are already playing out. The first thing I noted in this article is they say the SEC director thinks Bitcoin and Ethereum are not securities for now because they are essentially decentralized and because there is no real CEO, organizing body or central authority to answer to, which obviously in the case of Ripple is different. And we must agree with that. There is a potentiality this could go through. But with all of this stuff that's coming out, we know there's regulatory matters coming into play for crypto regardless. Cryptocurrency cannot thrive without regulatory matters coming into place. And without the regulation clampdowns coming in, crypto will never be able to thrive in our current society and system, because they're not going to allow an unregulated asset class and a whole digital arena of unregulated digital tokens and digital currencies to become implemented into our modern way of life. That will never happen. They are not going to allow this to unfold. But with XRP, let's just go a bit lower. Previous SEC actions, they've gone after people offering what they classify as securities. We've been here a few times before. They were forced to pay a fine of $5 million and to inform the SEC of any future sales of digital assets in the next 3 years in 2017. So they paid a fine, and they just have to inform the SEC of any future sales from now onwards. So, in short terms, all this has really done has just aided a potential pullback for people to buy in. Because once people do their research into the article and into the SEC stuff, if they are going after them for the same allegations as Kik, that just means they're likely going to get a slap on the wrist, a very hefty fine, just as banks do. Every banks, hedge funds, financial institutions, in Forex in particular, how many times do main market dominating banks get slapped on the wrist? They get caught manipulating the market, insider trading. They pay a few million, they pay a few billion in fines, and guess what? It's back to happy days. It's back to trading. It's back to business as usual. I cannot really see this escalating any further. And in the worst case scenario, it will just push for more regulatory matters into XRP, which is exactly what we need for this space to thrive. Whether it's a security or not, whatever they want to officially class it as in due time, I believe it's going to work out just fine. And anyone that's really panic selling right now, in the long term, I know where this can potentially go. I've always believed in the same targets of going back to all-time highs, going to $5, going to $10, even $50 to $100. I'm just going to throw it out there. As you've seen from this alone, and you've seen the fact it's hit 3.3 before, in 2017, when we called this upside movement to $1 plus, everyone said there's too much circulating supply, there's, the market cap will be too high, blah, 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 blah. It hit $3.3. So anyone saying it cannot go higher than $3.3 does not understand, has not researched it, and does not understand where this can go in the long run and what its true purpose is. And why market cap as well, I've spoken about this many times, is irrelevant when it comes to cryptocurrency. We are not measuring stocks. It's completely different. It's not measured in traditional ways, and there's no logic in crypto as well. Who would have thought Bitcoin would be worth $20,000 one day? Who would have thought Bitcoin would be worth $24,000 one day? Market cap or not, it's irrelevant. Do not use that as a measurement for how far a cryptocurrency's potential can go. Do not do that. It's a very false misconception. So looking at this right now, looking at what we're looking at right here, I'm in two minds. I feel like there's no point in being greedy. However, if it does come through relatively quickly and we start seeing a pullback, then, why not? Take the profit again, wait for another pullback down to this level, we continue to move upwards again. Because if the rest of the market does drop, it may aid that bias. But I'm also in two minds. Everyone's saying alt season will begin if BTC starts dumping. So there is this theory in mind. Just because they're delisting XRP, just because Brad Garlinghouse came out and said it openly that we may potentially get sued, how convenient is it that price drops exactly to the retracement, exactly to the level I projected a month ago, and then starts pushing higher? Because once people realise the news is more than likely overly hyped, it's not as drastic as it's probably being made out to be, people are not going to stop buying. And I would much rather buy XRP at this price and risk losing everything than buy BTC at $20,000 plus and watch it slowly potentially bleed the whole way down on me. I'd much rather buy something, could potentially go up there by the way, $32,000, but why buy up here when if you flip this chart upside down, you're essentially buying XRP there, obviously around here, but you get what I'm saying. If I'm buying here, I'm in a much better position in comparison to where price was at the lows compared to buying BTC here. And I always say this, doesn't matter how much higher it goes, the drop will be more significant than the move upwards. It doesn't matter. You can use this as an example. Just use that as an example. If you bought there, yes, it has gone higher. Granted, you would have made a lot of money, but why suffer from 2013 down to 2015, 2 years of significant drawback and drawdown to then make your money, when you could have sold and taken profits, even if it wasn't everything. And I made this very clear to everyone. I even tweeted, take profits off the table. I specifically tweeted that, and people probably thought I was just trolling. But why wouldn't you? If you've made money, and this is what it's all about, guys, it's about not being greedy. When the going gets good, make the good last by taking those profits and rewarding yourself for taking the smart decision to make that investment in the first place. Everyone talks about hodl, 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 hodl. But hodl is not always the best way to go about things. That's just internet lingo. That's literally like Reddit lingo and Reddit subforum lingo. It doesn't mean it's an actual solid investment strategy, because there's no guarantee in any investments in life. There is no guarantee in anything. Just because you've researched it, just because you've read a white paper, just because you've invested in it, and if you've invested in it, it doesn't mean it's a good investment. We all make mistakes. We all have bad judgment. I started shorting BTC this year. I caught the longs the whole way from the bottom, but from $16,000 onwards, I was shorting BTC. And obviously, I abide by risk management. It hasn't affected me because the other investments in the portfolio grows. But just as an openly honest example, we all make misjudgments. And when I started shorting from 16,000, I thought worst case it will go to 18. Then it shocked me and went to 24,000. I've stopped shorting BTC for now. But an example is sometimes investments are wrong. And I thought if I use myself as a real life example, you'll be able to understand this much clearer. And when you invest in that particular coin or asset or stock, you're now emotionally invested in that as well, which means everything you do will be clouded by the judgment and the fact that you've invested money into that asset. So the smartest thing to do, whether it was 100% of profits, whether it's 50%, 20%, 10%, even if you took 20% of your holdings off the table here and waited and ignored what everyone else had to say and just focused on the charts, you could have reinvested that back in now. You now would have dollar cost averaged at a beautiful price. Making money by taking money out the market. And this is the most important thing. That 100 grand I took out, we could have taken 10 of that and spent it, taken 20 of that and spent it and enjoyed ourselves, or we could have reinvested it all back in the market. And that's exactly what we've done. So in a nutshell, this video was intended to give you a bit more of an insight into how you should be doing and handling your investments, whether that's in crypto or any other asset class, the correct way. And also a bit of a wake-up call to try and ignore getting caught up in everything the media says, everything everyone else says. This is about patience. This is about losing any emotional attachment to your investments. And more importantly, just to showcase that we do know what we're doing. We understand how these markets operate, and we will never be the ones to tell you it's mooning, it's mooning, it's mooning. We always tell you the downside possibilities, not to scare you, but to help make you guys money. And also by being transparent and showing us actually doing what we preach. If we walk the walk, we talk the talk. You know, we do it all. Talk the talk, walk the walk, whatever you want to say. We practice what we preach, and we do this and try to show you this is the correct way by showing you in real time we're doing it in the correct way. Because now, in terms of waiting for any potential pullbacks, let's just say we bought here. This drawdown would be much more significant than riding a potential few cents move lower. I'd much rather buy here, it spikes a bit lower, then flies back up, than buy around here, it drops all the way down, now you're just stuck. But now you've taken profits out, we are in a much better position than 90% of the people. And this is one of the best investment decisions I've made yet again, by simply taking profit. There's many lessons to take home from this, and please, I recommend watching the other videos from beforehand, the XRP part 1, XRP part 2, watch the BTC potentially losing 70% of its value video. Watch everything and piece this all together and try to build an understanding of how you go about your investments. We've had a lot of people laugh at us, a lot of people mock us, and quite frankly, they have now all been absolutely wrecked, and they have guided their people in a very wrong way. Because people prefer to jump on hype, people prefer to jump on rumours, but when you just keep it simple, keep it rational, things pay off very well in your favour. And I have no doubt in mind that everyone that has copied us and everyone that has followed us and anyone within the Innovation Markets app that's been following these guidelines that have been given, I can assure you this is the easiest way to build wealth long term. There is no better way to build wealth long term than by taking profits out of the market and reinvesting and continuing the process. If you want to attain long-term wealth, this is how you do so. This is how you secure your future for the next potential cycle. Understand the longer term picture. Look at the higher time frames. And from there, things will change in your favor very quickly. And you'll see how fast your life changes when you play your cards right, and when you play them correctly, and when you play them with a little bit of logic. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'll be updating you all throughout social media as well on the profits on this as it goes up, whether that's 20,000, whether that's minus 20,000, whether it goes up 100k. I'll keep you guys updated on the journey of this, but I'm not really going to be showing too many profits anymore. I'm not going to be showing holdings or anything like that. We do not need to. We do not need to prove ourselves, but this was a perfect showcase of how things are done the innovation markets way.